Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, April 14th, 2022, and this is episode 216. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I'm coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, which is not too far from Vancouver. Hope you've all had a good week. Mine has been very good. I'm doing well. Fortunately, the same can't be said for several members of my family, but I'll wait till we get to life stuff to tell you all about that. I'm in a little bit of a hurry this week, and I can actually feel myself a little bit out of breath because I'm trying to rush. So we are just going to jump right into all the crafty goodness. Before I show you what I've been making this week, I just want to remind you that the Year of the Stash Make-Along is taking place in the Ravelry group. It is never too late to join in, so come on by and show us what you are making from stash. And you can also join in the Personal Sock Yarn Club, which is a separate make-along that takes place every month this year. Okay, speaking of socks, I have a pair. They are not my Personal Sock Yarn Club socks. These instead are socks that I have knit for my sister Jacqueline for her birthday, which takes place at the end of this month. But I'm not going to see her, or I should say I will see her in May. She lives in Toronto and she's going to be coming out for a visit, so I'm thinking about holding on to these until she gets here. On the other hand, they're finished now, so maybe I'll pop them in the mail so she'll have them in time for her birthday. Haven't decided yet. Anyway, here they are. I'm really happy with how they turned out. This is a pattern that I've designed myself. The lace stitch pattern here is called Four Sisters, and I found it in Nikki Epstein's Knitting on the Edge Stitch Dictionary. That's not an easy one to say. And I've always had it in the back of my mind that I would take this basic stitch pattern and incorporate it into 4 different items, one for each of my 4 sisters. So this was number 1. I have knit these socks out of Black Cat Custom Yarn, which is a local to me dyer and shop. This is the luxury sock base. I think it's just called luxury sock. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, luxury sock. This is called Epic Purple, and this is Deception. So I think it's really pretty. I love this. Well, I love both yarns. I knit these from the toe up because I wanted to include this cuff at the top, and this is the direction that the stitch pattern is knit in. And so I did toe up socks. I did a German short row heel. It always looks better after blocking. I find this one, now I've done it twice, and it's almost like a fold here or a crease here until you block it, and then it lies flatter. So I definitely like it more after it's blocked than before. And then I added this lace cuff. I think that's a good look at it, hopefully. I basically copycatted what was done in the book. She had added a few rows of garter stitch to the top of the sample, but then she'd added fringe at the base of, I can't remember if it was here or in the middle here on her sample. Of course I didn't add the fringe, but I liked the way it looked, and so I just basically tacked it on to the top of this sock. I did use, the stitch pattern is just a basic lace pattern, but the number of how about try that again? The number of stitches increases over the middle part of the pattern and then decreases again. This is 2 repeats here. And so I was a little bit concerned that it might be too stretchy for the top of the leg, but it seems to have worked out fine. I did do Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, but I did it quite firmly so that the bind off would be stretchy enough to go over the foot and the calf, but would not be so loose that it would be wavy up top and make the socks want to slip down. So I think I achieved a good balance there. I tried them on. They're a little bit short for me because my sister has a little bit smaller feet than I do, but I was able to get a sense of how they fit on the leg. So yes, I did not expect to have these done this quickly, but the first one I knit super fast because I wanted to get to the lace cuff part so I could see how my design idea would work out. And then the second sock, you know, they're basically stockinette, and we watched a lot of curling over the last week, and so that's perfect TV knitting. So yeah, I was really happy to finish these up the other day. They're all blocked, wash blocked, ready to go. So as I mentioned, I may be writing the pattern up for these one day. We'll see. It's not a difficult pattern, it's just finding the motivation to write it all up, get photos, testers, etc. All right, the second finished project I have to share with you is my Winter Trails hat by Alana Dacos. The lighting's not as good this week as last week, but I think you could see the beautiful cables on there. It was sunnier earlier. There's some clouds in the sky now, and it's just not quite as bright as it was earlier this morning. Anyway, yeah, I'm happy with how it looks. My idea was to add an inch of ribbing to the bottom so that it would be slouchier on my head. Unfortunately, I think that because the cables, you know, it's so dense and it's made out of worsted weight yarn. This is Sweet Georgia Yarns Superwash Worsted in a unique dye lot. I got it as part of a bargain, like a grab bag sale. Anyway, because the yarn's heavier, because of the cables that give it a lot of structure, it doesn't really slouch the way I want it to. I'll put it on my head so you can see, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking about doing. So, not sure what you'll be able to see, and I can't look and see at the same time, but it sits up quite high on my head. I was wanting it to kind of slouch down more like this, but it's not going to do that. I've tried to block it a couple of different ways, and I don't really like hats that sit high on my head like this. So my thought is that I could either turn up the brim about an inch so that it fits, you know, tighter to my head like it was intended. Again, you can probably see hopefully you can see the crown better this way in the back. So I thought I could either just turn it up an inch, or I thought I could take out the bind off, lose an inch of this, and then bind it off. Like just basically pick up stitches about an inch up from here, and then pick back, use that yarn to do a stretchy bind off there. Or something that occurred to me this morning that I haven't even looked at yet, and I'm just looking at how it might work, is I might just, whoops, see if I can, sorry, the light's difficult to show you. I just thought, there we go. I just wondered maybe I'll just turn up the brim and then stitch it around the base of the cable here. I think I can probably do that fairly invisibly. And that would give me a nice edge, a little bit of extra warmth that'll probably fit you know, sit probably right around my ears. And the more I think of it, I think that's probably what's going to happen. So several of you have mentioned how much you like this hat and are thinking about knitting it. Yeah, there's that beautiful crown. So just a word to the wise, if you're looking for a slouchy hat, this isn't really going to cut it. I even thought maybe I could turn this into a beret, but I'd have to stretch it out way too much, and I don't want to ruin it. So that's what I'm going to do, is I think just fold up the brim, stitch around, and then have a non-slouchy hat, but a beautiful one nevertheless. I'm not sure if that's messed up my hair or not. Okay, that's it for finished projects. And I knit that hat as part of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Make It Your Own Make Along, the Mio Mel. And so, yeah, I've got to get photos and get that entered into that for the month of April, or it's actually for the first quarter. It ends at the end of April. Okay, let's see, works in progress. I showed you last week that my yarn for my April Personal Sock Yarn Club was this beautiful skein from Opal. It's part of their Claude Monet series based on various works of art, and this is Japanese bridge in Giverny, Giverny. Japanese bridge in the garden at Giverny. I think that's what it is. And the color number is 9684. So it is, as you can see, all these colors. So I have completed one sock. It's not blocked, but I put out a sock blocker. Look how beautiful it is. I love, love, love this colorway. I think it's just so pretty, so spring-like. So I'm also going to use it as part of my Mio Mel for this quarter. I had thought about adding a complementary heel, but I decided that because this colorway has lots of striping and lots of color changes, that just a traditional heel flap and gusset would work out very well, because even though it kind of interrupts the striping sequence, there's so much going on that it's not immediately obvious. So I really like how that all turned out, and I love when you do that and the yarn that it ends on, like there's where the heel turn ended basically right there, and so the stitches that were all going around were all part of the same thing. Like there's no ugly line to interrupt it, or I didn't have to do any yarn management. It just worked out all by itself. So I've got sock number 1, and I am almost finished sock number 2. I think I have maybe about an inch or so. Let's see, here's sock number 2. So this is where I'm at in the color sequence, so I have to go up to that green stripe before I start the toe. So just thought I probably didn't show this close up enough for you to see how pretty that is. So yeah, so these will be done no doubt in the next day or two, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to cast on next as far as socks go. I definitely have a lot to choose from, and so I'll go digging and see what I come up with. All right, last work in progress. Well, I cast these on last night. I'm going to tell you about an up and coming that I was trying to work on, and I was having difficulties with it, and so I decided it was finally time for me to make myself a new pair of felted clogs. I've made numerous pairs of these over the years for numerous people in my family, and Mine have been worn out since prior to Christmas 2021. So I didn't feel like making a new pair, and my brother-in-law gave me a pair of slippers for Christmas. So I've been wearing them for over a year, and they are all stretched out and just, one has a hole in it. I need a new pair of slippers. And I've been procrastinating because as much as I love the product, I really don't enjoy making these. But I decided, why not? I've had the yarn set aside for months and months. So I pulled it out. I'm doing like this version with the different color upper and contrasting heel and cuff. So I've had this yarn set aside. It's a Peyton's Classic Wool. So it's 100% wool, and it's feltable because they're felted slippers. So this is the indigo colorway. And then I thought I would try it with a variegated on top. So this is called Indigo Mist, I think. Yes, Indigo Mist. And it has 3 colors in it. So there's this, let me just see if I can find a strand to pull out. I'm afraid it's gonna fall off the thing. Okay, here we go. So there is this indigo, which is basically the same as the main color. Then there's this light blue, and then there's this gray. And originally when I started making it, I worked it out. You have to hold 2 strands together. So I originally worked it out that I would be holding the same colors together at the same time so that they would, you know, basically knit up as one yarn. But then when I started the slipper, I realized that the way the stitches were lining up for the first few rounds, those colors were just going to keep stacking on top of each other, and I didn't really like it. So what I ended up doing is basically lining up halfway through the gray with halfway through the light blue, and so those 2 are knitting up at the same time, and then the indigo is just knitting up at the same time. And I like how that's worked out. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I would do this again or not, but it's made it kind of fun. So I did cast it on last night. I still have to add a second sole to this because they are double soled, but this is my first one. I finished it this just a little while before I started recording, so early afternoon. So you can see there's a kind of a blank spot here where the variegation, you know, didn't land in the right place, but that's okay. They're just slippers. But overall, you know, they're okay. These will just turn into specks and things, I think, once, maybe little stripes. I don't know. I'm not really sure how it's going to look when it's all felted. But yeah, not a whole lot more to say about that. Glad to finally have made myself do this. So over the next couple of days, I'll be able to finish the pair and felt them up. So that's a good thing. Oh, little itchy nose. So my up and coming, which didn't go so well last night. So I had finished my Throwback Thursday, which I showed you last week, and I had knitted out of Malabrigo Arroyo in the Jupiter colorway. And I wasn't sure, I couldn't remember if I had bought 4 or 5 skeins of that yarn. Turns out I had bought 5. And what I had left was a whole bunch of little teeny weeny balls, but also all these smaller, you know, or larger, but still small balls of yarn. I'm not sure if the light's letting you see that. There you go. Most of them are from one skein, and I had originally tried to knit Granito by Joji Locatelli with this yarn. And with the way it was constructed and because it had pockets, I ended up with a lot of short ends because once I had the sweater done, I didn't care for it on me and I took it all apart. So I thought rather than put these away, I should make use of them and, you know, knit up the bulk of this yarn. So I went looking for hat patterns, and originally I thought I would just do a plain hat, but then I decided I wanted something a little more interesting. And long story short, I came across another hat by Alana Dacos that takes sport weight yarn and, you know, takes the right amount that I have. And it is called Autumn Vines. So I did not intend to do another, you know, project that would fit into my theme of the 4 seasons for the Meal Mal, but when I saw the hat and I liked it, and then when I saw the name of it, that kind of clinched it. The original is knit out of kind of an orangey red. This is more, you know, it's got tan and brown and pink and different shades, but I still thought it would go well with it. Once again, I printed off the pattern, but because Alana Dacos' patterns themselves are quite decorated and there's a lot of colors used on them, I didn't print off the photo, just the chart and the directions that I needed. So I am just going to insert a photo here of what the hat looks like, and hopefully by this time or by the time I talk to you again, maybe it'll already be finished. We'll see how it goes. The reason I was having trouble with it is I cast it on how she described, which was to alternate knits and purls. It's a similar idea. You have a little bit of ribbing and then it branches off into the cable pattern. And so she had you casting on with, like, say, you know, purl 2, knit whatever, purl 2, knit whatever. I didn't like the way it looked when I was doing it, and so then I decided I'll do a long tail cast on, and I took that back. Well, then I didn't have enough yarn. I had to rip it out again. I had to try it a couple times to get the right amount of yarn to get me to the end of the cast on. And I started knitting it, and I wasn't sure about that, and I sort of was second guessing myself and thought, well, maybe I should do it the way she says. So I went back and tried again, and I still didn't like it. So I am going to cast it on again using long tail cast on. And I was thinking, because I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn with the skeins that are from the same skein. I think I'm going to have to add some in. So what I'm thinking about doing is just casting on with 2 different strands, and that'll get my yarn started for alternating skeins. So I'm basically going to alternate. Probably I'll do like 2 rounds of the main one and 1 of one of the other ones, and that should blend in the color pretty well. So not really looking forward to, you know, alternating skeins again, but I really do love that colorway, and it just seems a shame to have almost a, well, actually, yeah, almost a skein's worth right here, and just to, you know, let it sit, go into the scrap stash. It's too nice for that, so I'm going to use it up. I have acquisitions this week. This is the first yarn that I have bought this year. I had some birthday money, and I decided to get myself some yarn. So crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. This is a set of yarn from Fiber Knit Dye Works. And once again, it wasn't really my intention, but I realized it's called the Winter Palette. And these are half skeins of the bounce base. So there's, let me see, 200 yards on each of these. So it's called Winter Palette, so I thought, well, that'd be perfect for the Mio Mal, but really what drew me to it were just the beautiful colors. So there are these 5 shades here, and then this one is variegated and features all of those colors in it. So isn't that just beautiful? So I'm not sure if you can get these separate, but from this side, I don't know if it's right or left the way you're looking at it. From this side over, this is Sky Blue, Evergreen, Sunset Purple, Icy Blue, Hibernation Grayish, like beige but gray, and Winter Palette, very good. So I'm just so excited. It's so fun to buy some yarn. I haven't had that pleasure for, well, I don't even know if I bought any in December, so it's been several months, but I am so pleased with how much yarn I've used up. I also picked up these beautiful crystal stitch markers that Lisa's made. She made them to match some of her yarn that she had dyed, but I just thought the colors again were really pretty, and I couldn't decide between the set of the light or the dark, and so I ordered them both. So it's taking them out of their little packages. So here's the Crystal Pie Light. I'm not sure, does she tell you what they are in here? Yeah, Rose Quartz, Peridot, Blue Lace Agate, Citrine, and White Moonstone. So I'll put them in that order, and maybe if I do that, you can see them better. I'm not sure if that's helping or not. And then these are the Crystal Pie Dark. And so they are Amethyst Blue Apatite, Smoky Quartz, Malachite, and Kyanite. These might show up a little bit better because they're darker. So now that I've shown them, I can start using them. I just thought they were really pretty. That is it for all the yarny talk this week. So now it's time for life stuff. And as I alluded to earlier, unfortunately, we have several members of our family who are currently down with COVID, including our 2 sons and their significant others. So not really sure where it originated, but just from piecing together the timeline, it seems likely that our youngest son got it first, then passed it on to his girlfriend, and our older son, who then passed it on to his wife. Our sons have a mutual friend who's also sick with it right now. So whether he passed it on to our younger son or vice versa, not really sure. It doesn't really matter. What's important is that as of now, nobody is seriously ill. They're just experiencing some cold-like symptoms. No doubt because they're all boosted. I saw a very convincing illustration of just how effective the booster shots are the other day on the news. They had 3 graphs showing the vaccination statuses of people who had been hospitalized, those who had gone into ICU, and those who had passed away. And in all 3 cases, the number of people who'd been boosted was minuscule. So yay for modern science and modern medicine. I figure we're all going to get it sooner or later. So far we've been spared, knock wood, but besides our kids, we both know several other people right now who are sick. So it's definitely out there. I feel bad for our kids because it kind of messes up their plans for the long weekend. They have to be isolated, so not much fun there. Unfortunately, COVID might also mess up some of our plans for next week. We are hoping to go to Victoria to celebrate Cameron's mom's 97th birthday with her. But at the moment, her facility is closed to visitors because they have an outbreak. So cross fingers that it's over by then. We'll just keep checking the status on the website. If we do go over, we're just going for the day because Cameron can't take any time off work right now, but we'll just go over for the day. But that just means that there won't be an episode next week if we do go. So yeah, if you don't see me next week, you'll know everything worked out okay. And then of course there'll be an episode the following week if that's the case. So cross fingers for us. Something good. There is something good in all of this. So our Matt and Steph had given us a gift certificate to one of our favorite restaurants for our birthdays. So we decided to go out for dinner on Saturday night. And just maybe half an hour before we were due at the restaurant, my sisters and my mom, we're on a messenger group together, so we're always chit-chatting back and forth. And one of my sisters said they were going out for dinner and said where they were going, and it was the same restaurant we were going to. And it turned out their reservation was only like 15 minutes after ours. So Cameron got on the phone and was able to arrange for the four of us to sit together. So it was just a nice spontaneous get together with my sister and her husband. This is the sister I used to curl with, and Cameron used to curl with her husband, play ball with him. So we did see them recently at our family birthday get together, but it was just nice to just have the four of us, and I think we sat there for about 3 hours. Probably could have stayed much longer if the restaurant wasn't starting to, it wasn't closed yet, but the number of people in it was dwindling by the time we left. But it was just such a nice, unexpected pleasure. We had just had a lovely meal, and the company was even better. So that's my something good for this week. And on that note, it is time to say goodbye. Actually, when I finish recording, I'm going to eat something really quick, and then I'm going off to go get some groceries for Matt and Steph so that they are all stocked up for the weekend. Colin said he's fine so far. He'll let us know if he needs anything. So I hope you're all well. I hope you have a happy Easter if that's a holiday that you celebrate. And if not, I hope you have an enjoyable long weekend ahead. I suspect that Good Friday is a stat holiday in most places. It is here. So Cameron's definitely looking forward to a long weekend. Today's only Thursday, but it feels like Friday, so that's awesome. So yes, have a wonderful long weekend. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your crafting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your lovely comments, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.